I decided to drive to the largest forest in my country in hopes of getting back in touch with nature. I needed to clear my head. I asked the local forestry office about the best place for a quick walk off the main trails. I was directed to this picturesque spot a little ways down the road. No reception, with the rare bit of blue sky we get in the UK, I was glad I made the spontaneous trip. And as I walked further down the path, I saw the clearing in the trees to my right. Since the plan was to get closer to nature, I ventured into the trees off the beaten path. It was great. I explored the area and listened to the birds as they swooped from branch to branch. I even got a good 5 minutes of meditation in before I heard what sounded like two animals fighting. I assumed they were just foxes and moved on. I unexpectedly reached this sand road as I emerged from the trees, but decided to walk along it for a moment as I scanned for an entry into the forest on the other side of the road. But as I looked around, I spotted a bra dangling from a bush near the road. Now, I'm aware people go into the forest for all sorts of reasons, but this did put me slightly on edge. As I turned around, I heard an electric car making its way up the road. By the time I heard the noise, it was less than 300 yards away. My instincts told me to hide or just avoid being seen, but there was no time. So I simply gave a polite nod as he passed and made my way in the opposite direction. He parks up behind me, just out of view. I began to make my way away from the road, intending to go explore further. But when I saw the car, for a moment, doing a 180 turn and then parking again, something told me to turn around and go back the way I came. As I made my way back onto the road, I spot this man in a white shirt behind the bush the bra was hanging from. He was going in the direction I just changed course from. I crossed the road and made my way back into the forest I had arrived on the sand road from. When I got slightly further in, I turned around to check if the man continued in the opposite direction. But he didn't. Instead, I see he has also crossed the road and is making his way into the part of the woods I entered. By this point, I knew I was being followed. There is no way he coincidentally went one way, then turned to head into this part of the forest that I entered. But I kept my pace brisk rather than running. My physical health can go south quickly. My knees are brittle and my ankles are weak. So, rushing could cost me, especially since I had to reach my car and drive away. As I traveled further, he was always following. I was cursing my luck as I made my way to the end of that section of the forest, just before the path that was after a large patch of grass and shrubbery. But as I looked back, I couldn't see him. I stopped for longer than I should have, scanning the trees and listening intently. But I heard nothing, and I saw nothing. I made my way back onto the path with some relief and turned one last time to check the tree line. When I saw that he wasn't there, I began considering that perhaps I was overthinking the whole situation. But just as those thoughts crossed my mind, I saw the man emerge from the opposite side from where he was before, at the edge of the tree line. He just stared at me, but I wasn't going to take any more chances, so I made my way down the path and back to my car. I made sure to get out of there quickly, as I knew he would have to head down the same tight country road. I reported the man to the forestry office, but there wasn't much they could do. So that was it. When I paused at the tree line, I couldn't see him. For him to emerge from where he did, when I had made it back to the path, he had to have approached from another angle. An angle that I admittedly wasn't checking. But I'm glad I never went further into the forest. I'm glad I followed my instincts. Otherwise, the only way back would have been through him, and God knows what his intentions were.